Warning. The following may contain concepts, ideas, and/or reflections unique in nature and not yet approved by government and/or corporate entities. This content is for entertainment purposes only and is not intended to stimulate further reflection or to perpetuate additional discourse beyond the scope already outlined by institutional curriculum.
Alrighty, daddy. Here we go. Another day, no dollars, just a bunch of
thoughts and ideas
being spewed out there. I want to talk today. We want to talk today. We're in an accord, are we not?
Have we an accord? Aye. We have an accord.
So what do we want to talk to you about today?
It's life on the high seas.
Not life on the high seas, but what we be talking about is these experts.
The experts.
Coming around trying to change our ways.
Aye.
Let's see the intro.
Aye.
All right, dude. Let's get into it without any more preamble. Boy, I mean, this one's kind of let's try to keep it compact, but there is a lot to cover in a sense because.
Well, why don't you first off say, but whenever there's an article, you're always going to get the article saying, "an expert say."
Yeah, that's a good one, for sure, because it is basically, I don't know. I think today, the term expert is very similar to the way priest or church or anything in the Middle Ages would have been slung around. So when a priest says something, holy shit,
He
said
it
truth.
with authority. And who's going to challenge it?
Who's going to challenge the word of God?
Right, kind of thing, yes.
So this is where, and now when we talk about experts, we do have this thing of we're not even concerned. As soon as they use this magical word, we're just supposed to automatically go, well, we have to defer to their better judgment.
Or sometimes they might just say scientists.
Scientists, that's another one.
They might even clarify the expert by saying medical experts. Well, why don't you put your names to it and let it be held up to a little bit of scrutiny by your so-called people, your compatriots in the field, whether it's medicine or science, astronomy.
Also keep in mind, too, that some of these things that they might use an expert's opinion on is things that might require like a deft hand, a very precise bit of medical knowledge, not just generalities of medicine. But if we're talking about something that's a neurological condition, then you really need to be speaking to a neurologist, not just someone with a doctorate degree in medicine. So someone that's a proctologist, well, yeah, but why don't you shove your finger up your ass?
Okay, moving along. Yes, I think in some ways you would think it's quite possible that what they're doing is they've already got their formulated answer, and so they're seeking out somebody who could verify what they're saying. Are you an expert in this? Won't you kind of go along with this thought process for a bit?
And also remember too that a lot of these experts conveniently are called in to verify an official statement or an official assertion. And so we already have the fact, and now we're just propping it up after the fact with some experts going, yes, everything looks sound here. Yes, no, it's quite right. Yes, no, it's perfectly fine.
Keeping in mind that it wasn't long ago, maybe a few generations ago, when controversy was very common amongst so-called experts.
Yeah, I mean, I don't believe that. Well, first off, expert is a very vague term.
Right.
Right? It's an incredibly vague term that is very difficult to nail down because what do we talk about? Are we talking about someone that has just higher education under their belt? Are we talking about someone that has a doctorate degree? Are we talking about someone that is from an Ivy League school? Are we talking about community?
Listen here, ma'am.
Are you
worked
getting-
on the LAPD, and I investigated many crimes over 20 years.
Yeah, but so like this terminology of expert is a very typically it would be kind of a loosely thrown around term, but now it's become like this ratified thing. Like he is an expert. What does that mean? Does he have experience? Does he have like the credentials? Is he top of his class even? I mean, are we calling anybody with a degree in
bottom
something?
of his class?
Right. Are we talking about like anybody that has a medical degree is an expert, even if they just barely passed just by the skin of their teeth?
Or a forensic expert?
Right. Like,
Are we talking about somebody who's on his way out and he doesn't really give a shit too much? Whether there's someone who disagrees with his analysis?
I mean, so like anecdotally, talking about Tyler Robinson, the alleged shooter of Charlie Kirk, I recently saw that one video where this body language expert is giving his opinion.
Oh, yeah.
And he's taking the 2022 accident that this Tyler Robinson had with his parents' Audi, with his brother in the passenger seat car of the car.
Right.
And they T-boned, and it's kind of like it's a common accident to happen, right?
At an
You've
intersection
got one
on
person.
a yellow light.
I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna assert that Tyler Robinson probably was running a stale yellow. The guy turning left probably thought that he was in the clear, and he T-boned him. And yeah, that's probably the case. Now,
Which is really, from an analysis point of view, I would say, being a professional driver, I would say, and forget about the insurance companies, I would say there's a 50-50 at fault right there.
right. And also, like, because the officer was like, well, you said that you were at fault, but that was actually his brother, which when you talk about I don't know I think it was his brother was the younger brother. So I don't know. Maybe the guy's 16, but a 16-year-old, I mean, what does he know whether they were at fault or not?
Well,
I mean,
he wasn't
he's not
even
like
driving, though,
he's not
right?
an insurance adjuster. So
Right.
there's so many like little things about it, but to me, when I'm looking at it, I'm not seeing anything out of the ordinary. And this goes to, like, there's a term that they like to throw around, which is confirmation bias, right? And they like to throw that around at the little guy, the small guy,
Or the young guy.
When you want something to be true, you will see truth where it doesn't exist. That's what confirmation bias means, right? Like, so you're connecting a dot because you want this final thing to be true. And so then the things leading up to that, you're kind of adjusting your perception of all those things so that it neatly fits into that
I
narrative.
could see
finally
a
make
salesman using that in order to sell a vacuum cleaner. You know, like, it does this, there's that, and this.
right.
When do you want to buy it?
But the
Cash
funny,
or check or
but the funny thing
MasterCard?
is that they never talk about confirmation bias when it's an official narrative, and you're like, okay, so if the FBI has captured a guy, is there confirmation bias now when an expert is going to look at this guy's body language and make just an arbitrary, unbiased assessment of his body language? I would like to see the same guy look at someone's body language and go, this guy hasn't committed any crime. Okay, let's start taking bets now. We're going to put 10 grand on the line. You tell us, is he going to kill someone or not? Here we go. Based off his body language expert.
You lost.
Right? Right? Because now you're talking about it's different. When you know what the official narrative is at
Right.
the end, oh, yeah, I can see that. What
Right.
the hell are you talking about? Like, that is so weak. That is such, like, whether you're an expert or not, you're not really using anything that's impressing
How
me
about
because you
these-
already know what the final official statement is.
How about these people that can go through a lie detector and boldface lie, and the lie detector doesn't pick it up?
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
you
yeah,
don't
yeah.
think these so-called body language experts would fail most miserably? It's kind of like a hypnotist saying, yeah, I know how to fucking hypnotize people. But there's a lot of people that would tell the hypnotist, go fuck himself. You're the fucking donkey, not me.
So here's what I'm going to say.
Oh.
Dude, here's what
Yeah.
I'm going to say about Tyler Robinson. From my perspective, okay, I'm going to go out on a limb and say this. If he is everything that they say that he is, he's not exhibiting it in his face and in his body language. That's what I'm going out there to say. This guy's saying, oh yeah, he sounds very socially awkward. Maybe you haven't talked to many 22-year-olds
Right.
recently, but like his cadence and the way he speaks is pretty damn common. It's not that unusual.
Right.
No, he's not a jock bro, but he's also not even on the what I would consider autistic side, and there's a hell of a lot of autistic kids running around that are even more nonverbal.
Boy, you could sure
even,
pin a lot of crimes on them. They wouldn't even be able to defend themselves.
the poor little bastard.
Yeah, he's guilty.
he
Fry
can
the
play
fuck.
Mozart just from ear, but yeah, he's definitely listen to the way he talks. Obviously, he's done some serious crime. No, I mean,
Okay, so why is a guy who's so-called a body language expert, why the fuck is he on YouTube trying to drop fucking money on YouTube?
don't forget to like and subscribe.
Oh, yeah.
you know, like this
I
type
support
of
my channel, you.
no, but another question
Because
is,
I'm an expert.
No, but here's another thing. If you're a body language expert, right, and you're like top tier shit, like you're like almost clairvoyant, you're so good at reading people,
Right.
chances are you're going to be working for someone that's paying better than YouTube. Like YouTube does not pay that much money.
Yeah.
Like I was
Wow.
watching. No, I know. We wouldn't see anything. But the point is, like, I was watching this one guy who was doing like woodworking videos, and he was
Right.
breaking down like how much he makes, and he's got like 175,000 subscribers.
Right.
Right. And he's got a lot of like, engagement with each one of his videos. He's making, and after grinding away for like, I think it's been 7-8 years,
Wouldn't
maybe
it
he's
be
on
more
his
like
ninth.
advertisement
on
where
his
he can
ninth-
get contracts
Sure.
by people who look and say, hey, boy, I wouldn't mind getting some
Yeah, but
woodworking done.
I'm saying on his 9th year,
Right.
he was making about like, he was a British bloke. He was making about like 35,000 pounds from ad revenue, right?
Right.
And that represented like half of his total earnings, which then he had like Patreon and other stuff like that. So basically he's making, with 175,000 subscribers,
Right.
he's basically making maybe 70 grand, but that's including all of his endorsements with like, he had a Hitachi endorsement because he's doing woodworking and all this.
Yeah.
In summation, a quick summation, there's not that much money in it.
Right.
You know what I mean? With 175,000
Well, especially when
subscribers.
you got projects that you actually have to build from start to finish. Now, when some asshole just gets up on and pontificates what he thinks by body language, or how about signature experts? You're going to.
However, I would say this. Not all YouTubers are independent YouTubers, and some do have corporate sponsorship.
Right.
I mean, there are a lot of videos that are from syndicated news outlets.
Right.
Those are contracts, right? So, like someone that's a Fox News contributor is they're working for Fox, even though they're on YouTube.
kind of like
they're
freelancing.
They're not necessarily just
Subcontracting.
just a YouTuber,
Right.
because there's other contracts that are involved in money making. So they could be making way more money than just what YouTube would be providing a individual.
Okay,
The
so
point
dude,
I'm making,
move along here because you
Yeah.
got those type of experts. You also got the weather experts, the guys that say, man, nobody knows climate like I do, and I've been around for 5,000, 10,000 fucking years on the planet. I've seen all kinds of things, and I know things are changing. And but then you could say, well, what is causing the change? And does anybody who's as an expert as you, do they disagree with you? Can we bring a little bit of controversy into this debate?
No, this is an interesting thing. What happens when two experts don't agree?
Oh, we got to stop for a commercial break.
No,
we'll
but
be back in a moment.
No, they don't have to, because all they'll do is go, well, this guy isn't connected and affiliated with any mainstream, universities, education systems, or syndicated television. He's not really an expert. He has a doctorate degree, but he's a quack, right? So an expert is someone that has not only the accreditation, but also the connections.
But what
right?
I find,
and the proper rhetoric, because you could easily throw. I mean, like we kind of have this almost worship of like doctors and stuff. But I off the top of my head, and I haven't looked at this number for a while, so I might be wrong on it. But off the top of my head, I thought when I looked it up, there was 400,000 medical doctors in the United States.
General practitioners.
Now, I might be wrong
or
exactly
on that. Or does it
include
specialists as well?
No, well, it includes specialists, but I'm just saying, like, people with a doctorate degree in medicine, I thought it was somewhere in the neighborhood of about 400,000.
And none of them are associated or get any benefits from the big pharma.
Right. So, no, but here's my point is that for me, I guess you could say that, yes, a doctor is something of a prestige, but at the same time, with 400,000 people to choose from and with a narrative that's being spun, finding one guy out of 400,000 that carries the narrative, whether it's smoking is good for you or this vaccine doesn't cause autism in kids, or aluminum doesn't cause Alzheimer's, or tetrafluoride Teflon frying pans is healthy and safe to consume and
very,
enormous,
very convenient.
large quantities.
Don't forget the convenience.
But, so there, in my mind, it's not that impressive to find a handful of individuals that are willing to back these type of things.
Well, you know what would be kind of interesting, though, is to see someone from the medical expert area talking against and speaking blasphemously about tobacco, and then have somebody from the Cherokee tribe saying, hey, that was very therapeutic for my people. Something like that.
See, the thing is that there should always be nuance. I mean, if you've watched any of our other videos, I think you'll find that we like to walk that line of saying, hey, everything's up for debate, and we don't have to be like one extreme to another extreme, which means, I'm not telling people like, hey, doctors are all full of shit. That's not what I'm saying. But what I am saying is, just because someone is a doctor doesn't mean that they're above criticism if something that they're saying doesn't seem to follow a logic test or doesn't seem to pan out.
Well, unfortunately, most of these experts are not financially independent, so they do sort of require some funding.
Yeah.
And this puts into question then who's funding them, and so what's the motive behind this to get these like little puppets or dummies to say what you want them to say?
I mean, for sure. Also, another thing is that there's a problem with motivation, right? Like a lot of people, like being a doctor is not necessarily like a lofty position. If you think about a passion project, having your hands, like inside of someone's abdomen trying to rectify a situation is not necessarily a dream job. So then why would people get into it? Some, yes, it may be a passion, but there's a lot of people that the reason why they got into it is because of a bit of ambition. It was just like, I want to make a lot of money or a decent amount of money, and this is something that I have a proclivity for, and so I'm going to engage myself in it. So in that sense, if you do a psychological evaluation on the type of people that are getting degrees, whether it's, becoming a lawyer or becoming a international banker or becoming a doctor, there is some level of I'm compromising what I would like to do based around what is pragmatic to advance me in a financial sense. Does that make sense?
Yeah, the only thing that I'm kind of like, when you talk about lawyers, I'm thinking, why would somebody leave their little law profession that they may have required 4 years, 6 years at law school or something like that to go on YouTube? And then I kind of thought, yes, just to get drumming up money from YouTube is one thing, but this is where having people send you money through Patreon, I think this is where these people leave this law profession and go, hell, I can make a hell of a lot more money on YouTube.
I don't know. I would go even further than that. I think that there's a level where it's, you're getting a certain endorsement, a corporate endorsement to start, speaking from that legal expert vein. And you're going to provide your commentary on different political situations or different other situations. And I would say that I would say that there's because here's the thing is that people. I remember when I was going to school, right, and we would have like an essay that we would have to do up, and there was a certain minimum of citations that we would have to have inside of our essay to prove our point's lucidity. Now, I always thought that was a weird thing. Like, so what you're saying is as a teacher or as a grader, you don't understand what an idea and truth looks like. So you need to know that an expert has basically verified that what this student is saying actually makes sense. And if you can't do that, if you can't correlate your thoughts to what has already been laid down in stone by the Sanhedrin, then your point is not valid, which is it shows a lack of critical thinking or understanding on behalf of many people.
Well, it's very
in society.
it's very top down too, like extremely hierarchical.
Oh yeah, and it also, and then we go, well, we have plagiarism. In some ways, we're kind of taught to plagiarize things, right? We're trying to associate this point is only valid when, some Karl Marx said it first, or some other person that you can refer to that will add some sort of legitimacy to a thought process. So we're not really taught to think outside the box, because if you think too far outside of the box, people go, well, I have no reference. I have no expert to verify what you're saying makes sense.
Well, and even if they had a prodigy of some kind, they wouldn't just all sit down by his feet and say, well, tell me more. No, they would just catapult him up from like maybe grade level, and they'd have him at university level, where he would then again, now you've got more so-called equipped teachers who are going to basically tell you the way things are, and you're still going to memorize, that. So he's only going to be catapulted up the hierarchical structure.
Oh yeah,
but it's still going to be the same format. You're a student; these guys are the sages.
Well, yeah, and I think that guys, I mean, I've seen some of these. If you look at some of these kids, I mean, the same thing in music. You'll see some of these kids, and you're like, wow, 5 years old, he's like playing like Bach and Chopin, and all this stuff, and you're like, holy crap, he's 5 years old. What is he gonna do when he's 16? These people like drop off the map, which a lot of them do. Like most of them do. Most of these like kid prodigies aren't continuing into adulthood, seemingly, with really much recognition. And a part of that is just because we don't really have a space for ascertaining something of quality. We don't have an area.
The alphabet agencies like the CIA can't use and manipulate somebody's brilliance, and music doesn't fall in that sort of realm, then well, to hell with them.
But also things have to fit into a box, and once a kid has already like achieved the top level of musical theory by the age of like 12, let's say, where else is he going to go? Because now he's got no guidance or infrastructure to elevate himself
Well, I
even
guess you're
higher.
going to just go down to the local Philharmonic Orchestra and just kind of like apply himself.
Yeah, but it really does take... See, one thing we kind of forget is that for any sort of incredible epiphany that someone might have, right? If there's no one to hear that epiphany and understand it, the epiphany and the person creating it kind of just fade out, because we do need to have some sort of understanding or mutual understanding that we can't just, not everything in life can just be a test where you go, well, what's the right answer? Okay, well, C. Oh, you're right. C is the right answer. Eventually, you get to a point where tests no longer apply. And when people are engineered to basically jump through hoops their entire life, once they get to maybe the pinnacle, they don't know what to do, because they're not developed to basically go out on their own or think on their own.
And this is what's going to go. I think it's going to speak to what we were talking about a little bit this morning, because what you got these people who are brilliant. They don't need to go to college or university. They're already got their brilliance. It's self-contained. Either it came as an epiphany from some outside source, God, ETs, whatever. But the people who need to go to an institution are people who are lacking. And the hierarchical structure knows that. So it's like, we're dangling the keys of knowledge here. You're going to make 10 times more what your average pissant makes if you stick with the program and you follow instructions. And
also, let's keep this in mind too. If you're speaking in front of people, you are low-level tier expert, right? If you're like at the very pinnacle of like, you know, nuclear fusion or nuclear fission, you're a nuclear physicist and you're at the very pinnacle, you're working for the government or, you know, in some capacity at a nuclear reactor or something like that. You're not out there telling kids what a neutron is, right?
Unless you're one of those very, very, very rare type of individuals that love teaching more than they love the subject of which they're teaching. And that happens from time to time. I mean, I've had some really good elementary teachers, but after elementary, I think most of them had their head up in the clouds or up their ass.
I think there's a certain amount. It's kind of like, I think it kind of comes down to like music. I think is a good example, because you can have some really good music teachers up to like an intermediate level.
Right.
I think after the intermediate level, you see a diversion, right? Either someone's going to be an incredibly good like musical writer and performer, or someone's going to be a really good teacher at a high level. I don't really know if both are true.
But anyways,
and I don't want to call out any. No, but I don't want to call out any names, because there's a lot of different guys out there and there's a lot of different things. But I do think that some of the guys that are really good teachers, for myself, what music they do is good, but it's not great. In the same way that guys that never teach are horrible teachers of music at a high level. They're because they're more into, they're out on their own limb. Like Buckethead would never make a good guitar teacher. He's too much in his own zone, right?
Right.
But it kind of takes being in your own zone to reach at the very highest level. In other words, experts of any ilk are not really the pinnacle or the penultimate. They're just kind of like
They're doing their own
just
thing.
at the base of the pyramid of that subject matter where they understand it and they can explain it. And in some cases, they're just corporate stooges. So in those cases, you could almost discount everything they have to say.
I would say in most cases they're corporate stooges.
If they're talking in a social media sense, I would say yes.
Because
I would say
we
that
mentioned this before, but once you get a degree, bachelor, master's, doctorate, you want to peddle your craft. And
yeah.
you know, how many doctors of this, that, and the other do we need? How many astrophysicists do we need? How many astrophysicists are going to be hired by NASA?
Yeah.
I mean, get fucking serious,
Yeah.
right? So they're going to peddle their craft, and there's the corporations got the money. So
maybe we'll wrap up the video.
Yeah, I think
and
we
keep
should.
it short. But I do want to just add the funny thing of like the funny aspect of experts is sometimes I've caught these news outlets saying experts say thus and thus. And if you look in the fine print, the expert has no association with the actual subject matter. They have a degree, but the degree is in no
it's not in the
way
subject
related.
by which they're so-called.
Right? They got like a degree in gender studies, and they're talking about the U.S. economy.
Right.
And experts think that the national
Well,
debt
I think that's why
is
they have to
completely
word
payable.
They have to word it in such ambiguity because then it gets them off the hook. There's no accountability in the article or the
Yeah.
story at all.
So here's what I'm thinking is that in summation, here's the food for thought. When someone says something, judge their words off of the merit of whether it makes sense and whether it sounds reasonable and logical and connected with the facts of the case, and less on their title or their titular. Because I think that if we're just focused too much on the title of someone, we can lose track of whether this person just sounds like a complete moron or not.
Right.
That makes sense?
Persuasive argument is not necessarily where the facts lie. It's just somebody's just great at presentation. How many people in sales, whether peddling vacuum cleaners, are great at presentation? But that doesn't mean that damn vacuum cleaner is worth $1,000.
Yeah, I mean, well, it's kind of like where experts, like, they could say, like, or in this case, it would be like scientists. Scientists find, a 300,000 billion year old star that had just exploded, right? And you go, well, sure, or I don't know, maybe not. I mean,
but
who's gonna go
1,000 whatever light years for this light to finally reach your irises?
Who's gonna verify this shit? And I know that there's some people that are like deep in the weeds of something, and they're going like, you don't understand, you don't know all the mathematical equations that we had to go through.
Believe.
And sometimes I understand that. I'm not saying that everything's bullshit, but I am saying that if you expect us to just believe something just because you said it, I don't think that's sufficient.
No.
Or
whether you say it in a very nice, convincing way. I don't give a shit about that. I mean, people are just such great liars. They can say whatever they know how to lie.
Yeah. No, I mean, and so it's judging people on the quality of their thought, not on their titles, and especially when the facts of a case have already been kind of like cemented into the psyche of the general population, and now the experts are there just to reaffirm those facts. Super suspicious. I don't think that we'll do another video on being skeptical. I think it would apply to a lot, and probably be a full video itself.
Yeah.
But there's nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong with skepticism, especially when we're talking about like a macro. I mean, we don't know what is going on or what we're being told. We have no firsthand knowledge. We're not invested in these things in a personal level. So handling everything with a healthy amount of skepticism, I think, is
you can't go
it's a
wrong.
valuable rule of thumb.
Right.
And on that note, I think we'll end that there.
Bye-bye.
So, catch you guys later. Bye-bye.